What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Cuesta. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter and now on Instagram as of today at SportsOpinion30. And also visit the Facebook page to get all the great content. We are live. Not only live on Spreaker, but also live on Facebook Live. What's up, everyone? What's up, Wally? What's up, Melissa? I see you guys on here on Facebook Live. How are you? But we are here today to discuss NFL, specifically NFL. It just started. It got underway yesterday with the Eagles beating the Falcons, or basically the Falcons not showing up to the game and the Eagles winning because that was an absolute joke. But I digress. Wally, we were both wrong about our pick. But, Foles is a one-trick pony. He did that one little play, the dilly, Philly. But good job, Philly. You got off to a good start. It is what it is. But today we're going to be talking every year. I do picks, and I pick every single game for all 32 NFL teams. I give records, and then I kind of track myself. This one is going to be specifically to talk about that, to talk about my picks, records. But as always, if you want to get in the conversation, you're watching on Facebook Live, leave a comment. Leave a comment and I'll talk about it. You have my number. You can call me. You'll be on the show. You can text me. You can do whatever you need to do. Just if you want to get your voice heard, this is the way. So we're going to get it going underway, and I completely agree with you, Wally. It will not last. The success of the Eagles this year won't last. Sorry, Eagles fans. As long as Nick Foles is under center, it's not going to be great because the Eagles didn't look very good in that win. But we're going to jump right to it. I'm going to go division by division, team by team, and it's going to start off with the Buffalo Bills. Any Bills fans out there? Unfortunately, I'm not predicting a very good season for you. Important games, really, you're starting Nathan Peterman, so how many games are really important? This year is a year to get Josh Allen ready. Josh Allen was selected by you guys really high up, and you're just hoping that you can develop him and that he can become a great player for the franchise. He can become another Jim Kelly, and he can lead you guys to success. You have some tools back there. LaShawn McCoy is being wasted again by no talent. Kelvin Benjamin's out there. He's a big target. But you have some players, but unfortunately with everything that's going on with starting Nathan Peterman, and then just the line isn't great. Vladimir Dukas is starting on that line. He's a Jets throwaway. He's pretty terrible. Gotta hope that Zay Jones steps up this year. He's a decent player. He had high expectations last year as a rookie, was injured, but I don't see the Bills having a very good season. I haven't predicted at 6-10. I think that they're gonna be mediocre, middle of the pack team. Makes you guys feel any better? You're gonna beat the Jets once. I guess that counts for something, but really not a good season. So if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm sorry. This isn't just me drinking Gatorade. I don't think the team's going to be very good, and I think that starts with Nathan Peterman. Now, moving on to Wally's former favorite team, and I will continue to call them Wally's former favorite team because he is a turncoat, but it is the Miami Dolphins. The Finns are another team that's kind of in flux. They don't know where they are. Ryan Tannehill is getting another year to try. They just got rid of Jarvis Landry, which isn't going to be great for them. They still have Kenny Stills, who is good. Devontae Parker should be much better than he is, but God only knows. But it's just, they're starting Frank Gore, and they have Kenyon Drake back there running the ball. Their tight end, AJ Derby, is okay. They got my boy Mike Gesicki, who was a big time player in New Jersey, a guy you've heard on here plenty of times. Rob Planter has played against him. He gushes about him. He loves him. So the Miami Dolphins, they're another team that I find in flux. And I know, Mr. Calora, if you're watching out there, this is your team. I'm sorry. I'm predicting them to have a 4-12 record. I really don't think that they're going to play very well. I have them beating the Bengals, beating the Lions, beating the Texans, and getting a win against my Jets, because it wouldn't be a season if bad teams don't beat my Jets. But overall, they really can't just get over the hump and beat good teams. And I think Tannehill, again, is going to have another good stat year for everyone to point to. He's going to have solid stats, but there's just not enough talent around him to continue to get him to be successful. So Miami, sitting there 4-12 this year. Not really much to expect out of them. Gonna move on to my favorite team. Or no, it's not my favorite team yet. We're gonna go on to a team that I hate. Most people hate. Wally's current favorite team. I know I'm talking about Wally a lot. I just did the show with Wally on Wednesday about our picks. Neither of us started off well. We both had the Falcons beating the Eagles. It's not a good look for us, but it is what it is. Got a new comment here. Did I talk about Philly already? No, Alex, I didn't talk about Philly yet. So once Philly, I'll get to Philly in a little bit. I'm going with the AFC East. I'm going to get done with the AFC, and then I'm going to start off with the NFC. So you have a little bit before we get to Philly. I'm not very high on Philly before Wentz gets back. I'll say that. Carolina Panthers, I'll get to them, Will, if you hang on. John, they do have one of the best O-lines that they've had in years, but I really just don't believe in Tannehill, and I don't believe in the weapons that they're giving Tannehill. So, yeah, they're starting Kenyon Drake, but really what has Kenyon Drake been besides a backup running back his whole career? So, as much as I'd like to think that the Dolphins can actually do something, it's just not really going to be feasible that they're going to be a good team. And they play a pretty tough schedule. If I can go back and just gander at their schedule before I get to the Jets. They play the Titans. Marcus Mariota's got something to prove. They play my Jets at New York, which is always a tough game for them. It's a rivalry game. Those can go anyway. They have the Raiders. Derek Carr again, a guy trying to prove something. Tough win there to try and get a win. Patriots are the Patriots. They play the Bengals and Bears, which should be gimmies. The Lions are pretty damn good, so that's another tough win. The Texans have Deshaun Watson, another good win. The Packers, Colts with Andrew Luck coming back. The Patriots again, the Vikings, the Jags. It's just a really tough schedule. The AFC East has a tough go at it this year, so it's not as much me knocking any team in the AFC East, where it's more of just, it's that bottom line is Miami is just not equipped to beat those types of teams. So we're going to move on to my favorite team, or no, Patriots. I got to stop saying we're moving on to the Jets. We're not moving on to the Jets yet. We're moving on to the Patriots, who I hate. But hard to not acknowledge that they're going to be good again. They have Tom Brady. I don't care what they lose. They have Tommy Terrific. And when Tom Brady is there, Bill Belichick is there, it's hard to deny that they're not going to be good. The receiving core is the who's who of nobody. Chris Hogan is their starter. Edelman's going to come back eventually, but Philip Dorsett's starting. They just picked up Chad Hansen from who the Jets cut, Cordarrelle Patterson. It's not like they have studs, but we've seen Tom Brady win before with guys that aren't very good. We've seen Tom Brady win with Deion Branch. We've seen Tom Brady win with the other Tim Brown, who wasn't a very good receiver anywhere else but in New England. When he went on his 3 Super Bowls, he didn't have anyone. And I repeated it on this podcast before. I'll say it again. Tom Brady is the best quarterback that I've ever seen. Maybe besides Peyton Manning, but Peyton Manning did have Marvin Harrison. He did have Reggie Wayne. He had some good guys. He just had no O-line and no defense. Well, he had Jeff Saturday. I take that back. Jeff Saturday is one of the best setters of all time. But bottom line is Tom Brady's been the best ever to do the most with the least. So I'm never going to deny the guy. They do their running back up by committee. They have Burkhead, James White, Jeremy Hill, James Devlin. Oh, and they picked up Sony Michel from Georgia, who is one of the best running backs coming out of college. The guy's going to be a bona fide stud. And if he could stay healthy, wouldn't be surprised to see New England have a feature back for the first time in a long time. And don't forget about the guy named Rob Gronkowski. If he's healthy, he's really good. And the guy behind him, Dwayne Allen, was a pretty damn good tight end over in Indy, too, before the Patriots grabbed him. So let's not get too down on the Patriots. Their defense is still stout. They're a good team. And unfortunately, I really hate to admit it, I don't see them going 13-3 like they did last year, but I do see 11-5. They have another tough schedule. I think that they'll come out. I think Deshaun Watson's going to come out firing week 1. They're going to lose to the Texans. I think they're going to lose to the Colts week 5. Andrew Luck is very good, and if he's healthy, he's going to win some games for them. I feel like he loses to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is amazing. The Jets steal one in an ugly game because it seems like the Jets always steal one but then get dominated in another one. and Minnesota beats them. 11-5, that's it. No one else is going to beat them besides that. And their road to possibly going to another Super Bowl is paved again. So I have the Pats going at 11-5. People might not agree with that. People might think I'm lowballing them because 11 wins is usually pretty damn low for the Pats. So who knows exactly what's going to go on with them, but I can never count them out. So now we're going on to my main team, my favorite team, the New York Jets. Supposed to be 0-16 last year. 5-11. They played significantly better, much, much, much above their talent with the journeyman quarterback in Josh McCown. And they traded up with a move that was highly criticized by a lot of Jets fans themselves. And people were really pissed and really annoyed that they gave up so many second rounders to move up and grab Sam Darnold. You can ask my wife. My wife, Julie, she's been calling me a hypocrite and a turncoat legitimately since I've started watching the Jets again. But Sam Darnold is winning me over. Slowly but surely winning me over. They picked him. He's looked good in the preseason, and he's starting. He's the youngest starter in the history of football. Could this be another mistake for the Jets? The Jets have made a lot of mistakes, so maybe. But it's not like they're giving him a bare cupboard to work with. People love to talk about that the Jets have no talent. No skill players talent around them. I'm sorry. Dude like Bilal Powell just continues to get better. Isaiah Crowell, when healthy, is a bruiser. Trenton Cannon has shown that he's an explosive guy this preseason as a rookie. So right there, that's a decent running back stable if used properly. And the wide receivers, I heard a stat that no other team in the history of football has had 4 wide receivers that have had 800 plus yards in a single season at any point on the same team. The Jets have those 4 guys. Robbie Anderson's a legitimate, explosive down the field guy. Jermaine Kearse is a solid possession receiver. A healthy Quincy Enunwa is a beast. We saw that already. And Terrell Pryor, if he gets back to form like he was 2 years ago with the Browns, it's going to be trouble. And the Jets are going to have some weapons. Do they lack in the tight end? Yes. But let's not forget, that defense is as close to being pretty damn good as it ever has been. Leonard Williams is a bona fide stud. Nathan Shepard, people question that pick. He was a small kid out of a bigger kid out of a really small school. He has shown that he could play at the NFL level. He's a massive dude. Darren Lee, we don't know if we're going to get rid of him after this year. He's not living up to the hype. But I'll tell you who is. They picked up Avery Williamson from Tennessee, and that dude is a legitimate sideline-to-sideline middle linebacker. And we just need someone to rush. Our secondary is decent. Jamal Adams is a bona fide stud. He's trying to make himself one of the best secondary players in the league. Marcus May is very good. Trumaine Johnson's getting paid a lot of money to be good, so he damn well better be good. Morris Claiborne's serviceable. I don't want to hear that the Jets are going to be terrible this year, because they're not. They're not going to win any championships. They probably won't even make the playoffs. But to say that they're going to be terrible is wrong. I have them going 8-8, middle of the rung team. People are going to say I'm homering, that I'm nuts or whatever. Big wins that I have on their schedule, I have them upsetting the Colts and the Titans back-to-back weeks 6 and 7. Colts and Vikings, not Titans. I have them beating the Pats once, like I said. And then their final win in week 15, I believe that's their final win I have them for, is against the Texans in a high-scoring game. They're going to get some signature wins. But they're also going to get some bad losses. I think they lose to the Broncos, who I don't think are a very good team. They lose to the Bears, who I don't think are very good. Miami sneaks one away. The Titans, the Bills. So there's some bad losses in there for a young team that's having growing pains. So can the Jets be a good team? Yeah. Can they be a really, really, really bad team too? Yeah, there's the possibility that they're an awful team as well. But overall, I think the Jets are going to be a middle-of-the-rung team this year, and Todd Bowles' job is going to be safe. Sorry to my father-in-law, my brother-in-law. Well, Russ doesn't mind, and my father-in-law hates him. So sorry to you, and sorry to you, Skip. You hate Todd Bowles too. So sorry to you guys. I think his job is safe. So my final standings for the AFC East: the Patriots, who else? Top it at 11-5. The Jets finished second at 8-8. The Bills finished third at 6-10, and the Dolphins are the bottom feeders at 4-12. We are now going to move on to the AFC North. My buddy's favorite team, Josh Siegel. Great Josh Siegel. He's working for Ted Cruz right now. I don't know if that's going to make people hate him or like him, but he's working to get Ted Cruz elected, and I'm just proud of him because he's being politically active and has a pretty damn cool job doing it. So, what up, John? Shamel, Brienne, Dominique, Jen Oaks, what up, all of you? Thank you guys for coming in. Shamel, I already talked about your Dolphins, if you just heard. I picked them to go 4-12. Anyone has a comment, anyone disagrees with me, please let me know. I'm fine with disagreeing with me. I'll talk about it here. If you want to call and argue with me, please call and argue with me. It'll be pretty fun. That's what I like to do. John, Sissio, what's up, man? How's it going? Long time no talk. But we are going to move on to the AFC North and the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens. Where do I start? Last year they had a 9-7 record. This year it looks like they're already in shambles. They picked up Lamar Jackson, who looks like their heir apparent. They still have Robert Griffin III on the roster for some reason. And they're starting Joe Flacco for what seems to be his final year. Alyssa, John, how's it going? Thank you guys for Alyssa and Ron. How's it going, Ron Johnson? How's it going, guys? Thank you for joining the live feed. But they look like they're having trouble trying to figure out what's going to go on. Flacco's probably in his last year. They're looking for Lamar Jackson to be the future. I personally don't see it. They picked up Alex Collins to be their starting running back. Again, not someone who I'm too high on. Michael Crabtree is one of their starting wide receivers. John Brown, Willie Snead. It's an okay core. Nothing that blows you out the water. I just don't see anything too great about this team. You have a year older Terrell Suggs. You have a pretty good CJ Mosley. Brandon Carr is one of your corners. Eric Weddle's your safety, who's a year older. They just seem like an old team that doesn't have a supreme amount of talent. That's how I see the Ravens. I think that they are just in a constant rebuild mode right now. And hey, Megan, what's going on? Amanda, how are you guys? I think they're going to be in a state of a rebuild right now, and they're going to struggle a little. And that is why I have them going 5-11 this year. I don't think they're going to have a great year. If you're a Ravens fan, I'm sorry. It's not going to be fun. Only teams you beat the Bills, you surprise the Steelers, you beat up on the Bengals, surprise the Raiders, and even give the Chargers a surprise. But you lose to teams like the Bucks. You lose to the Browns twice. You get beat by the Broncos. You get beat by the Bengals once. It's not going to be an easy road. So I don't predict the Ravens having too good of a future this season. On to another team who I, for lack of a better term, I think pretty much stinks. The Cincinnati Bengals. I've joked around a lot that Andy Dalton is trying to be everyone's favorite ginger again. And really, he's just trying to be a legitimate quarterback again. He's not too far removed from being a dude that was in MVP talks for starting a season. He was just running through the NFL. And between him and AJ Green, they were just being absolute monsters. But even though they still have AJ Green, they still have Andy Dalton, they have Tyler Eifert, they have some names. They have Tyler Boyd, the quarterback turned receiver, John Ross, the speedster. Joe Mixon was a high pick, could be supremely talented. Giovanni Bernard running the ball, those two guys. Defensively, Andrew Billings, Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins. This team should be good. Unfortunately, they're not. They're not a great team. Sorry, Francois. Francois is my barber. Eventually, we're going to hear Francois on here. If you're listening, Francois, what up? Eventually, we're going to have him on here because he's a huge Bengals fan, but I'm sorry. It's not going to be a fun season for you guys. Really, I have you guys going 7-9, which is the same record you guys had last year. I think it's going to be a disappointing one. You're going to start off hot beating the Colts and Ravens right out the gate, but just struggle mightily after that. You'll lose to Miami, lose to teams like the Bucks. You'll take a loss from the Ravens, who I already predicted aren't going to be very good. You'll take a loss to the Browns, who are going to surprise a lot of people this year. Your wins, you're going to upset the Saints and Raiders and Chargers. You're going to have some good wins. Steelers, you're going to show that you can be a good team, but it's not just going to be enough. And ultimately, you guys are going to struggle to find wins, even though you have a whole lot of talent. So, really, really rough, really, really tough. But who knows? Again, these are my predictions. Anyone, if you disagree with them, you don't like them, please leave a comment. Call me, text me, tweet me, something. Do something. Tell me that you hate what I have to say. I'm fine with it. We're going to move on to a team that is going to be, I think, everyone's surprised. A lot of people are predicting them to be decent, and I think they're going to be pretty damn decent as well. The Cleveland Browns. 0-16 team last year, and Myles Garrett got made fun of because he said that they're coming. They won't accept being the bottom anymore. They're coming. And really, I don't think he's lying. Offensively, let's just look at what they have. Tight ends jump out at me. Darren Fells and David Njoku. Yeah. Who are they? Listen, figure out who they are. They're pretty talented dudes. Darren Fells came over from Detroit. David Njoku is a good player that's been on this team, and he finally has not one, but two quarterbacks potentially that can throw to him. Tyrod Taylor is starting right now, but he has Baker Mayfield sitting right behind him, the first overall draft pick. The dude looks like he's the real deal. He looks like he's going to be good, but Tyrod Taylor is no slouch. He took a Buffalo team, which I was predicting to not be very good, to the playoffs after they tried to tank. Last year, the Buffalo Bills were very weird. They tried to tank. They benched Tyrod. They started Nathan Peterman. He threw like 79 interceptions in the first half. They put Tyrod back in. They made the playoffs. Really weird season for the Bills. But overall, now he's in a much better situation with the Browns, which I don't think anyone ever thought that being in the Browns is a much better situation than the Bills. But he is. Because just look at the receivers he has to throw to. Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, Antonio Callaway. He was a rookie. He has some good guys to throw to. He has some good tight ends to throw to. And he has some good guys to block for him. They did lose the best left tackle in football in Joe Thomas, but Joel Bettino is no slouch. They drafted Desmond Harrison to get him up there as the left tackle, and hopefully he works out. But overall, this team should be decent. And I didn't even mention that they have Carlos Hyde, Duke Johnson, and also drafted Nick Chubb out of Georgia. That offense is ready to go. Now, the question is, can they stop anyone? Yeah, I think they can. Myles Garrett is a legitimate rush defensive end. He's going to have a breakout year. Jamie Collins is not too far removed from being really good in New England, and he's really good on Cleveland. No one notices it. They have Jabril Peppers. Struggled a little last year, but can come out and have a breakout season. Overall, I think that Cleveland is going to be a pretty good team. I don't see them struggling too much. And I see them actually having a solid record. I see them being 8-8. I see them being a middle-of-the-rung team, and I see them playing pretty damn well. On to the next one. I'll speed up a little bit because it looks like I'm taking a lot of time. I'm not even into the NFC, and we're almost a half an hour through. So I'll speed it up a little bit. We're going to go on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a guy that you heard, Colton Gesser's favorite team. He's a diehard Psycho fan. Steelers last season were 13-3. Now, I don't predict they're going to be as good, but I think they're still going to be a good team, as much as I hate to admit it. But Le'Veon Bell not playing really might hurt the situation, because if he doesn't play, I saw the report that he might be out until something like week 12, and I'm looking at the depth chart now. He's last. They're starting James Conner. I don't care how good James Conner, unless he is Le'Veon Bell, he might not ever, be able to replace him. No one can replace a guy that had over 400 touches last year and accounted for well over 1,200 yards in receiving and running the ball. He's really good. Really good. Pay the man. Pay the man if you are Pittsburgh, or trade him and get something for him. Don't just let him sit and lose him. But got to give Big Ben his due. Big Ben is pretty damn good. They drafted Mason Rudolph, which is interesting. He might be the heir apparent there, because Big Ben has threatened to walk away I don't even know how many times now. So there may be an heir apparent now in Pittsburgh, which is a good or a bad thing for the Steelers faithful. But they still have Antonio Brown. They still have Juju Smith-Schuster, who broke out. Ryan Switzer is there, came over from Oakland. Darius Hayward-Bay is there, who is a scrub, but can catch the ball every once in a while. He's an NFL guy. And their line is still pretty good. DeCastro, Pouncey, Foster, Villanueva, Marcus Gilbert. Like, they still have some pretty good guys. And Vance McDowell and Jesse James are decent tight ends. So they have something on offense like they have for the past few years. Where they're weak lately has been defense. Has it gotten better? TJ Watt needs to step up and get more sacks. He was good last year. He needs to be better. I'm looking at their secondary. I don't recognize too many of the names, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because they haven't been the traditional Pittsburgh defense, and fans better hope they get back to it. But I think that they get back to it and play better. 13-3 I don't predict, but I do predict 11-5. So I think the Steelers are going to have a good season, definitely a playoff season, and it ends up that they're going to win the division. The final standings: Steelers 11-5, Browns 8-8, Bengals 7-9, Ravens 5-11. So that brings us to the AFC South. The never really has been vaunted AFC South. There's some good teams in this division, shockingly enough. And Kevo, you're welcome for the Jamie Collins mention. Did it for you, bud. But we forget how much of a tear that the Houston Texans were on to start the year last year, when then rookie Deshaun Watson was just being an absolute monster. Ripping through the NFL, having career game after career game, just resetting his own records for personal records, and just stunning the league. And then he went down to an ACL tear. And now it's a question of if he comes back as the same guy. And I say it's absolutely that he's going to come back as the same guy. Without a doubt. That I think that he's put in enough prep, and the Texans are going to be so careful with him because they know how talented he can be. I know he has an injury history. He was hurt in college as well, but you got to believe in this guy and what you saw in him. And he has good receivers. He has decent protection. He should be pretty good. Let's look at this offense. Besides Deshaun Watson coming back, DeAndre Hopkins, everyone can agree is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. When he has someone to throw to him, it's even better. Will Fuller, one of the best deep threats in the NFL. You get Will Fuller a chance to catch a ball going deep, more than likely it's going to be a touchdown. Lamar Miller is a big bruising back coming out the backfield. Alfred Blue is a serviceable backup. So that offense can score points. And in the division that they're in, it should be pretty damn good. Defensively, how the hell are you going to stop some of these guys? They have Jadeveon Clowney. They have J.J. Watt. They have Whitney Merciless. They have so many talented players on the defensive end. This defense, they have Jonathan Joseph in the secondary. Tyrann Mathieu is on this team. They're going to be good. They're going to be a good team. Don't doubt the Texans. The Texans are an upset waiting to happen. I have them upsetting the Patriots in the first game. I have them beating the Titans twice, the Colts once. They lose a lot of games that they should win too, but overall I think they're a pretty good team. I think 9-7 is going to be their final record. And after last year and what they went through losing Watson, seeing that with him they can be a good team is going to give them a lot of confidence. So 9-7 are what I think the Texans are going to be this year. Next team on the docket, the Indianapolis Colts, the return of one Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck hasn't been on a football field in 2 years. That is a long time to not play football. But people forget quickly. I mentioned to Wally when we were doing our Spreads podcast about betting that Andrew Luck is a top 3 quarterback when healthy. And he started laughing and told me I was nuts. Just go back and watch the guy play. He is a top 3 quarterback when he is healthy. There is him, there is Rodgers, there is Brady, and then there is everybody else. Because not only is he mobile like Rodgers, he's accurate like Rodgers, and he probably has the strongest arm out of the 3. I know we see Rodgers do his Hail Marys, but don't have a short mind when it comes to remembering how good these guys are. Andrew Luck was an absolute monster. And he has T.Y. Hilton to throw to again. He's going to be good again. He has Eric Ebron to catch the ball. Jack Doyle, two big tight ends. His running game is a little suspect. He has Marlon Mack, Jordan Wilkins, Nyheim Hines, 2 rookies sitting behind another guy. It's a suspect thing to say the least. Where they're going to struggle is defensively. They don't have a great defense. They need to have a great scheme, but their defense isn't very good. But overall, I think we're going to see a little Peyton Manning-esque stuff. They went from 4-12 last year. I think he turns them around to 8-8. I'm not talking them up to be a Super Bowl contender just yet, but 8-8 is a big leap from the 4-12 that they were. What's up, Pat? What's up, Marina? How are you guys? But it's a big leap from what they were. So 8-8 is a pretty good season in Indy right now. I have them beating the Patriots in Week 5. They get a win against the Texans. They beat the Raiders. But then they'll pick up some clunkers. They'll lose to the Titans once. They'll lose to the Jets. They'll lose to the Bengals to open the season, which I predict they lose their first 3 games because Andrew Luck is still finding his bearings. And that's where the 8-8 comes from. That those first 3 games are going to be kind of gimme games to get Andrew Luck back in the feel of things. So 8-8 is where I put the Indianapolis Colts. Onto the team that won the division last year and kind of shocked the whole league, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That defense is unbelievable. It is a really good defense, but I don't believe in Blake Bortles. I love Leonard Fournette. I wasn't a big Leonard Fournette fan coming out of college. Anyone that talked to me, I thought this kid was going to be a bust, foot and mouth. I was wrong. He's really good. But I don't believe that Blake Bortles can do what he did last year and maintain... Sorry, Paz. I can't shut up. It's my podcast. I got to do something. But I don't think he can maintain doing what he did last year. And I don't think that he can be as good as he was and get as lucky as he was. They still have Leonard Fournette. They have TJ Yeldon running the ball. They have Dante Moncrief, who's a very good wide receiver, catching the ball. Keelan Cole's out there catching the ball. They don't have Hearns or Robinson, which were a big part. I know Robinson got hurt all last year, but 2 years ago, he was a big part. And Allen Hearns was a big part of this team, along with other players. I don't believe in Blake Bortles. I believe in this defense. I believe in Jalen Ramsey. I believe in Miles Jack. I believe in those guys. They're great players, but Blake Bortles scares me. And Deshaun Watson's back. Andrew Luck is back. Their division is significantly tighter than it was last year. 10-6 isn't going to happen. Playoffs is not going to happen. 7-9 is where the Jaguars will sit. They'll lose to superior competition in the Patriots. They'll lose to the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Texans, the Steelers, Colts once. They'll get some nice wins. They'll beat the Chiefs. They'll beat the Jets, which I consider it a nice win because I'm a Jets fan. Most people probably see the Jets as a gimme. But they're not going to be as good as they were last year. Sorry to everyone who believes in them and jumped on that bandwagon. Defense will still be stout. Blake Bortles is a big handicap for a team that has higher aspirations. Last but not least in the division, the Tennessee Titans, 9-7 last season. Marcus Mariota, time to put up or shut up. You need to stay healthy and you need to lead this team to the promised land. Unfortunately, I don't think he can do it. I don't think he could stay healthy, or I just don't think that he can be good enough to do anything that will be of merit. And sorry, Marina, the baby is asleep right now. But what's up, Ryan? What's up, Joe? How are you guys? But overall, I don't think that Marcus Mariota is going to be good enough to lead this team to wins. He has Rashard Matthews and Corey Davis to throw to on the outside. He has Derrick Henry, who's an absolute bowling ball and a monster running the football. He has Dion Lewis coming on. And he has some good players around him, but he's just not good enough. And he can't stay healthy. And on the defensive end, they have Kenny Vaccaro, they have Logan Ryan, Brian Orakpo's old. They have some players. Malcolm Butler's there. But I just don't think Marcus Mariota is good enough to lead this team to the playoffs, to lead this team to a championship. And I think overall they go 8-8. Final division standings. Texans, I think, get in the playoffs, top it 9-7. Colts 8-8. Tennessee Titans 8-8. Jaguars 7-9. It's a tight division. It's a pretty mediocre division, but that's historically what the AFC South has been. So that's what you're going to get there. We're going to jump on to the AFC West. And the Denver Broncos are the first team over here, and that is my buddy Kyle Roy's favorite team. Craig Lepper, you've heard him on the podcast before. It's his favorite team. And I said flat out, the Broncos have like 11-5 talent. Can they do it? I don't know. They picked up Case Keenum in the offseason to run the offense. He had a great season last year with the Minnesota Vikings, but he's been a career backup, so let's hope he can continue to spark that team. Still have Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Not really high on either of those guys. Demaryius Thomas drops the ball far too much, and Emmanuel Sanders is a possession receiver that's a year older and a year slower. The guy that they need to step up for them is rookie Cortland Sutton. He needs to be the guy that steps up and is the best player, best wide receiver on this team. Jake Butt also needs to step up at a tight end. They're starting Royce Freeman at running back. Devontae Booker is a backup. I don't believe in the skill players on this team, and I'm not a big fan of Case Keenum at all. So I just really hope that... Thank you, Rudy. I'm happy you told me I was sexy. I appreciate that. But I just don't see the Broncos putting it together skill-wise, and I know Craig Leopard will be sad about that, but I really don't. They have Bradley Chubb on defense, which I'm watching out for because he's a defensive rookie of the year candidate. Von Miller's still there. Those two rushing are scary. Brandon Marshall in the middle is a beast. Chris Harris is still a corner. Bradley Roby's good. Tremaine Brock is okay. But overall, this team is, I think, okay. I don't think they're great. They pick up a win. They pick up wins against the Raiders. They'll beat the Jets, beat the Chargers, beat the Chiefs. But 8-8, I think, is where I see them realistically. And I think I told that to Craig. 9-7, 8-8 is where I see them staying, and that's where they are. It's an improvement from 5-11, and it's nice that they finally have a quarterback that is decent and not named Brock Osweiler or Paxton Lynch. But 8-8, I think, is where they are sitting. On to the next, Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith era is over in Kansas City. And the era, what's up, Fitz? How are you? And the era of, oh, hi, this is Brooke, go Eagles. Melissa, don't poison Brooke with that Eagle stuff. Courtney, Nate, Scott, what's up, everyone? How are you? Julie, what's up? How's everyone doing? But, yeah, don't indoctrinate her with the Eagles stuff. Let her pick a real team. The Eagles stink. I don't care if they won the Super Bowl. But we're on to Kansas City. The Patrick Mahomes era has started in Kansas City. And I have to say, I'm not really too excited for it. Patrick Mahomes has a giant arm, but I don't think he has the overall skill set to be great. He's a mobile dude. He's athletic. I've heard all the right things about him, but I just don't believe in him. He has Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill to throw to, Kareem Hunt to run the ball behind him, Travis Kelce to catch out of the tight end. He has plenty of weapons. He has a good line. I just don't see him doing many great things there. I think he's going to have growing pains, and I think fans are going to see him have growing pains. And I think fans are not going to be too happy with the product. He's going to struggle. He's going to struggle mightily. The defense is still pretty good. Justin Houston is there. Xavier Williams is there. Chris Jones, Anthony Hitchens, Eric Berry, who, if he doesn't get hurt, is possibly the defensive player of the year last year with even just the start he had in game 1. But I don't see Kansas City being very good. Andy Reid, I don't think, is going to be good enough to right that ship and keep the team going. Kenny, what's going on, man? Fitzpatrick, Giant coach. You're the Giant coach? What's up? But overall, I'm not too high on Patrick Mahomes. And I see the Chiefs going 5-11. It might be a little low in people's minds, but I don't think they're very good. I think they beat up on the clunkers. There's no surprise wins in them. They beat the Browns, Cardinals, Ravens, Broncos, and Bengals. But they lose to better teams. And I just think that's the overall thing. And I have them getting embarrassed on primetime in Week 15, 35-17 to the Chargers. So let's see how they're going to do. Hopefully I'm proven wrong for all the Kansas City Chiefs fans. But I just don't think they're that good. 5-11 is where I see the ceiling. Well, let's see, Fitz, you clarified. What did you say? Andy Reid is a Giant coach. That's not very nice. That is not very nice at all, but it's hilarious. And it's true because he is giant. And that mustache needs to go. But on to the next one. Sorry about that. Responding to a text. Not very professional. Sorry, guys. On to the next one, the Chargers, who I just talked about. Now, the Chargers are one of the weirdest teams in football because they have unbelievable talent most of the time. Talented guys in all the skill positions. Phillip Rivers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL or of all time without having a Super Bowl. He's great. Anyone that denies, what's up, Christine? How are you? Thanks for joining. Anyone that denies that Phillip Rivers is one of the best quarterbacks around is out of their minds. Keenan Allen is here. If he can stay healthy, then he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They have Travis Benjamin, who is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. Melvin Gordon is a legitimate running back. Virgil Green is a very good tight end. Antonio Gates is old, but is still a threat in the red zone. And I know my best guess employer, he's the founder of the AOSN, Alejandro Zatara. And if you're listening here, you're going to be happy that I'm talking pretty highly of the Chargers. I like the Chargers. I always have liked the Chargers. I know I've given them a rough prediction a few years, but I like the Chargers. I think they're a decent team. Do I like them enough to think that they're a winning team? That's the issue. I think that they're a good team, but I don't think that they're a great team. I like their weapons on offense, but for some reason, they can never just get it going. Joey Bosa's great. He's going to rush the passer. Melvin Ingram's a talented dude. He's going to rush the passer. Denzel Perryman's a decent player on defense. Those are all defensive guys. But overall, I just don't see them being fantastic at all. I don't see them being very great. And I just see them being a middle of the rung, more near the bottom team. And I have them going 7-9. So it's not going to be a great season for Chargers if you're looking for playoffs. And it's a step down from last year. But it's tough. And that was a tough one to pick because I do like them. But I just don't have that much confidence in them because, I don't know, it's something about them this year and it's something about their schedule. I just got a text from my buddy over there, Wally, you heard him, Million Lira Man, the lock of the night. He has TCU over 59. Now, if you listen to our podcast a few days ago, we gave spreads, and he basically gave a lot of advice on spreads, how to win. He gave you his Yankees tip. If you want to go back and listen to that, I'm not going to reveal it here. Go back and listen. Gave a tip on how to constantly win, and tonight he is having over 59 for TCU. So if you're looking to win some money, go place money on that right now. Place a bet right there. Back to some NFL football, though. The Oakland Raiders are the next team up. They were 6-10 last year. Derek Carr was disappointing. Amari Cooper couldn't get any separation. They weren't a very good team. They were 6-10. I think I had them going to the Super Bowl last year, something crazy. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid again. I'm not going to go that high on them, but I am drinking the Kool-Aid that they're going to be a good team, and I don't know why. And I don't know why I'm drinking that Kool-Aid, but I am. I think that they're going to play decent. I like their weapons. They added Jordy Nelson. They still have Amari Cooper. Jared Cook is good. Derek Carr could be really, really good. Marshawn Lynch is still there. They picked up Doug Martin, who was a 1,000-yard back. All intents and purposes, they should be a good team. And I think they're going to be a good team again. But I have no idea why. Like, it's weird because they have Bruce Irvin on defense, who's good. They have Derek Johnson, who's talented. They have Marcus Gilchrist, a former Jet, as a safety. Not a great safety. But it's weird. I like the Raiders. If you're Mike Holinko, you probably enjoy if you're watching out there. You like that I like your Raiders, but last year it was a curse. They didn't do well last year when I liked them. So maybe it's a bad sign. But I think they flip that 6-10, go 10-6 and win this division. They lose to the Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals. But besides that, pick up some signature wins. They beat the Rams coming out the gate. They beat the Niners, who are a good team. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Chiefs. They have some good wins in there. So I think they ultimately win their division. I think it's the Raiders topping it, 10-6. Then the Broncos at 8-8, finishing second. The Chargers at 7-9, and the Chiefs at 5-11. So that is who I believe is going to be there for the AFC West. Now that wraps up the AFC. And man, oh man, it's weird because it looks like on top there's a lot of the same teams. How well have recycled coaches done? Recycled coaches, okay, I guess. No, Rudy, we're not doing UFC. If you listen to the beginning, this is all NFL. So get over it, Rudolph. But hey, what's up, Eric? How's it doing? Long time no talk, buddy. But recycled coaches normally aren't too great. But Andy Reid has had success in KC, so I don't know. John Gruden is back in Oakland for a 10,000 year, $17 trillion deal. So we'll see how good some recycle coaches do. But could be meh. But on to, again, the guys getting in the playoffs. The division winners are, I predict, the Raiders out of the AFC West, the Texans out of the AFC South, the Steelers out of the AFC North, and the Patriots out of the AFC East. So some of the usual suspects, some not. That's going to bring us right into our NFC. Going to start off with the NFC East. Kenny, if you are still listening, any Dallas Cowboys fans, if you're still listening, I might be the only person out there that thinks Dallas is going to be a decent team this year. Most people think that they suck. Eric, if I suck, let me know. If I'm not any good, you tell me that I'm not any good. I know you never hold any punches. You'd have no problem telling me that I stink at this. So you let me know, buddy. But I think that the Cowboys are going to be a decent team. Last year they were 9-7, and that was with Zeke not being around for 4 games. I think that people look at everything else around them. They look at the fact that they lost Dez. They don't believe in Dak Prescott. But they forget that having a guy like Zeke Elliott controls the game. He shortens games. He eats up clock. You need to score on every single possession against the Cowboys, because if not, Zeke's going to eat up clock and he's going to make it a low-scoring game. Terrence Williams is back and he's decent. He's not great, but he's decent. Allen Hurns comes over from Jacksonville, and I like Allen Hurns. I think he can be a number 1. Is he the best number 1? No. They picked up a kid by the name of Michael Gallup as a rookie. He can be okay. They have Cole Beasley, who's a very good underneath guy, and they have Tavon Austin from the Rams, who is a really underappreciated player. Their line is still one of the best lines in football. They lost Travis Frederick, and they said they don't know how long Travis Frederick is gone, who's the best center in the NFL. That could hurt them, but overall, they still have Zach Martin, Lael Collins, Tyron Smith. They picked up Connor Williams as a rookie to try and plug him in there, but they're still very good. Zeke is good. Rod Smith's a good backup. Dak Prescott's a good enough quarterback. They're going to win games. The scary part is going to be, can the defense play well? Can Sean Lee stay healthy? Can Crawford rush the passer enough? Can Taco Charlton really grow into a good pass rusher? Is Randy Gregory going to stay out of trouble off the field to show his talent? DeMarcus Lawrence is still there. Can he be good? There's a lot of questions that they need to answer on defense more than anything. They have Xavier Woods back there. They have Jeff Heath in the secondary. Awuzie, I don't believe in Awuzie at corner. They have some questions, but I think they're going to control the game with the running game. So I think the offense can be good. And I think the Cowboys are 11-5 this year. I know. Go at me. Come at me. Cowboys are 11-5. It's okay. They're going to lose to the Lions. They're going to lose to the Skins, the Falcons, the Eagles, and the Giants. But overall, they're going to win most of their games because they're going to control the clock and they're going to score points. And Dak Prescott's going to figure out ways to win games with handing off the ball to Zeke and making timely throws. Are they going to ask him to throw the ball 30 to 40 times a game? That would be ridiculous if they did. But are they going to... Thanks, Eric. I know I suck. It's cool. But it's tough. And yeah, they did lose Witten. They lost Witten, Kenny. Thank you for reminding me of that. He is a big loss. He's a third down guy. But someone always steps up. Cole Beasley's a good third down guy too. He can get open. So don't count the Cowboys out just yet. And no, I'm not homering because the Cowboys are my wife's favorite team. Don't count them out. I pick 11-5. On to the next team. It is the G-Men, Eric. I'm going to talk about your G-Men. Last year, they were absolutely abysmal at 3-13. They were one of the worst teams in football because Odell Beckham Jr. went down. Brandon Marshall, they had picked him up to be the number 2. He goes down. It's Sterling Shepard and a whole bunch of guys. One of us could have went out there and played wide receiver for the Giants last year and probably been just as good. Eli was getting his ass kicked, really getting his ass kicked, really bad. And they had no line. So what did they do? They went out and they picked up Nate Solder from New England. Paid him well to be their left tackle, but the guy's a legitimate NFL left tackle. Will he get beat? Every left tackle gets beat. Even Joe Thomas got beat every once in a while. There's great pass rushers in the NFL. But he's a serious upgrade over anything they had. Will Hernandez, a rookie, they picked him up. The dude's an absolute brawler. He's going to be good. Eric Flowers is a question. Eric Flowers is terrible. He's probably going to be out of the rotation at some point, but they've spent a lot of money and a high draft pick on him. They're going to give this kid every chance to succeed. The guy that I'm curious to see on the line is Patrick Omameh. He came over from Jacksonville. Can be good, can be awful. We're going to find out. But in terms of weapons, I mentioned Odell Beckham Jr. I mentioned Sterling Shepard. They have Evan Ingram, who's a legitimate tight end. Manning can still play well enough. And I didn't mention a guy, Saquon Barkley. They picked him at number 2. They didn't go with the quarterback, but they picked him because they're ready to win now, and they picked a generational guy who, as much as I don't agree with the pick, the guy's going to be an absolute stud, and their offense is going to score points with him and the rest of this group. Defensively, they scare me. The defense gave up last year, and that's one of the main reasons they were 3-13. The defense didn't play. Janoris Jenkins went from having one of the best seasons of his career to playing awful. Eli Apple started to play better, ended up being terrible. Landon Collins was injured. Now that he's hopefully 100% healthy, he can go back to being one of the best safeties in the NFL. Olivier Vernon needs to have a 10-sack year. They need to have somebody else find a 10-sack year on that line. That's what they've been missing. When the Giants are historically good, they have 2 or 3 guys that can really get after the passer. Damon Harrison's a great run stuffer, but he doesn't get after the passer. They need somebody else besides Olivier Vernon to get after him. So hopefully somebody steps up out of that group. I see the Giants improving. I don't see them being unbelievable, but I see 9-7. I see them being a good team. They get some good wins. They beat the Texans. They beat the Panthers. They'll beat the Eagles. They'll beat the Cowboys. But they also have some losses that sting. They're going to lose to the Titans once. They'll lose to a few teams that they shouldn't. They'll lose to the they'll lose at home. Yeah, I said against Titans. They'll lose to the Colts. They'll lose to the Eagles, the Niners. The teams are good, but they probably should be beating these teams with their firepower. So I see that they stumble a little. I think they have ultimately 2 years with Eli left. So I think 9-7 this year. The offense is going to be good, but that defense scares me. Wayne, what's going on, buddy? How are you? And yes, OBJ did get the contract he deserves. He was unbelievable. Manzo, what's going on? Yeah, ready for some football. And yeah, I agree, Eric. Eric Flowers has to go. He is awful. But yes, I am ready for some football. Manzo, who's your favorite team? I got to let you know if I'm or not already. But that's my Giants prediction, 9-7. It's an improvement on last year. They can go 10-6. They can go 11-5. But I just see them stumbling a few times because that defense scares me. If you can give up that easily after you're paid as much money as that defense is, what's stopping you from turning around and just doing it again? So on to the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, who had a gift last night. Let's be realistic. They had a gift last night against a Falcons team who couldn't get out of their own way. They are a team that with Nick Foles is not very good. That offense looked awful. It did not look good. But they found a way to win. To their credit, they used Philly again, or whatever the hell they want to call it, a trick play. It seems like Nick Foles is a better receiver than he is a quarterback these days. But they found a way to win. I did not pick them to win that game. I have to say that I predicted the Falcons to run them over. And if you listen to the podcast the other day, I predicted that me and Wally both predicted that the Falcons were going to run them over. But they didn't. They won the game. And good for them. But unfortunately, I don't think that they are Super Bowl caliber again. I do think they're going to be a good team again this year. Defense is really good. When Wentz comes back, they're very good. I don't think they are a Super Bowl team. Kenny Martinez just asked an interesting question. What do I think about shortening the preseason and extending the regular season? I would enjoy it as a fan. In the name of safety, I don't think the NFL will do it. Because playing 18 regular season games is really dangerous. The 2 extra preseason games are dangerous, but you're seeing a lot of scrubs in the preseason. You're not seeing as many starters. Players already complain that they're tired. I think in order to get 18 games in a regular season, you're going to have to take away Thursday night games because players can't play Thursday night as well as playing 18 games. It's way too much. So I would like it because more football is better football as long as they don't keep on making it touch football and taking away rules. But in the name of safety, I don't think the NFL will do it. I think they take away 2 preseason games. We're just going to be 2 preseason games less. And they might get an extra week off to get ready because of that. I don't see them adding any more games. And yeah, Mom, my lovely, beautiful mother, Adele Cuesta, just commented that it was a terrible game. Yeah, it was. And for anyone that's wondering, my mother is a bigger football fan than my father. And in the house, I would sit down with my mother often and talk about football, not my pops. But anyway, back to Philly. I don't think they are 13-3 good again this year. I don't. But I do think they're good. And I think they're a talented team. They have a lot of talent. They showed it. Alshon Jeffrey's good. Nelson Aguilar's good on the outside. They picked up Mike Wallace, who's sneaky good. He's a possession guy. They still have Zach Ertz, who's a talented tight end. Jay Ajayi is good. Darren Sproles, when healthy, is unbelievable. Corey Clement's explosive, like Sproles. They're going to miss LeGarrette Blount in big situations. Ajayi is a big guy, but he can get tired. When they had Blount and they just pounded Ajayi and Blount, it did basically what Zeke Elliott does. It controlled the game. Tough to sit there and hit 2 brick walls when they're always fresh. It's not easy. So that is going to hurt them at certain points this year. But I can't take away from what they had. Their defense is unbelievable, and that's really their bread and butter. When Wentz comes back, he's going to help them on offense, but Malcolm Jenkins, Ronald Darby, Rodney McLeod, Jordan Hicks, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Haloti Ngata, Chris Long as a backup, Michael Bennett as a backup. Like, their backups are starters on other teams on the defensive line. They go 8-9 deep because they are that talented, and it's what won them a Super Bowl. So the Eagles are a good team. I have them at 10-6. I don't think 13-3 because I think having Foles in there for Wentz while Wentz is getting healthy is going to hurt them. But I have them going 10-6. I have them winning some pretty good games. Beating the Panthers, beating the Saints, beating the Giants, winning one against the Cowboys, beating the Rams, the Texans. They win some games. So they're more than likely playoff bound at 10-6. But I don't see them being Super Bowl caliber again unless Wentz gets super red hot again. And I don't doubt that could happen. But as it stands right now, and with Nick Foles being in there, 10-6. And yes, Adele, I miss our football food too. Julie's actually making a nice spread of fixings this Sunday for Football Sunday, even though the Jets don't play until Monday. My gracious and amazing wife is going to be making some stuff up, and it's going to be delicious. On to the final team in the NFC East, the Washington Redskins. I know it's the Meanies, Bill Meaney, Big Bill, Little Bill, their favorite teams over there. Unfortunately, the Alex Smith era and Adrian Peterson era. Surprising, Adrian Peterson in the Redskins uniform. He's just going anywhere he could play. But I don't think the Alex Smith era is going to be very good there. I really like Jamison Crowder. I have. I don't mind Josh Doxson. I don't think he's a starter, but he's there. The running backs, Chris Thompson, Samaje Perine, Rob Kelly, I think they leave a little bit to, want. If Perine can get right, then he could be a really good player. I like Jordan Reed as a tight end, but he's never healthy. Vernon Davis is not the same guy he used to be. I'm not a big fan of their line. So the offense, I think, will struggle this year. Defensively, they've had holes, and they continue to have holes. Josh Norman's a very talented cornerback. DJ Swearinger is a good safety. Quentin Dunbar is an okay corner. I don't really believe Ryan Kerrigan is easily the best player on that defense, but he's pretty alone. Jonathan Allen's pretty good on the line. They're hoping that Deron Payne, their nose tackle rookie, can step up and be a guy, but I don't know. I don't see it for the Redskins this year. They were 7-9 last year. I think they dropped to 5-11 this year. They pick up wins against the Cardinals, Colts, Cowboys, Jags, and Eagles late in the season just to play upset, possibly keep the Eagles out of the playoffs. But I don't think they're a very good team. Overall standings in the NFC East, I have the Cowboys 11-5, Eagles 10-6, Giants 9-7, and Skins 5-11. Sorry to all the Giants fans out there. And I know people are probably annoyed at me putting the Cowboys up there, but I just think when you have a friggin' horse like Zeke Elliott, it's really tough to count a team out. My sister Christina, Karen, how are you guys? Mr. Colombo, what's going on? And yeah, Kenny, you actually did call it. But moving on to the next team, we are moving on to the NFC North. The Chicago Bears. 5-11 last year. Mitchell Trubisky looked improved, and he is improved again this year. Tough part for the Bears is their schedule sucks. They have a tough schedule. Packers, the Patriots, the Lions are in there, the Vikings. They see the Lions twice. Their divisions, they're tough. They have the Rams. They're in a tough division, and they have a tough schedule outside of that. I see them losing a lot of close games. They pick up wins against the Cardinals, Dolphins, my Jets, and the Lions, but that's it. They have Mitch Trubisky trying to take another step. Allen Robinson, if he's healthy, he'll be okay. Kevin White can't stay healthy. Tyler Gabriel is not anything special. Jordan Howard's a good running back, but he's really all they have. And on the defensive end, Khalil Mack, they just picked up for him. He's a stud. Prince Amukamara's there. Not special. They really don't have much outside of that. I don't see them being a very good team. I'm not going to talk much about the Bears because I don't believe in the Bears. So I have the Bears going 4-12. And it's tough for the Bears fans, but they're not going to be great. Lions fans, my boy Ryan Casey out there, big time Lions fan. They will face off against my New York Jets week 1, and they won't beat my New York Jets. I'm sorry, Ryan. Darnold's getting his first win, and it's against your Lions. Although, Lions have a pretty damn decent team. Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. LeGarrette Blount's a bruiser. Amir Abdullah's coming into his own. Theo Riddick's a decent running back. They're not a bad team. Marvin Jones, Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay. There's some pretty good weapons on that team. Defensively, Ricky Francois Jean's pretty good. Ziggy Ansah's a talented guy. Darius Slay's not bad. Glover Quinn isn't bad. But they're not great. They were 9-7 last year. They're going to repeat at 9-7 this year. Pick up wins against the Niners, Cowboys, Packers, Seahawks, Bears, Rams, Cardinals, Bills, Vikings. They beat good teams, but then they lose to a lot of good teams too. I think that's the Lions' MO. They can win games, but they can't continually win. They're not consistent. So that's where I see the Lions' MO being. I see them being 9-7. I don't see them being much better than that. Can they sneak another win there? Yeah, they might be able to go 10-6, but they can also sneak another loss or two there. So what's up, Georgie? How's everything going, man? But 9-7, I think, is a safe place for them to pick them at. But again, they can go either way a little more. Now on to the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, full tilt, healthy, 7-9 last year. Not going to be the case this year with the discount double check master. 13-3 is where I'm picking the Packers. Think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. And I think it's because of Aaron Rodgers. You look at their team, they're not unbelievably talented. They lost one of their best wide receivers in Jordy Nelson. Doesn't matter. They have Jimmy Graham. They have Mercedes Lewis catching the ball at a tight end. They have Aaron Rodgers, obviously. Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams are still very good wide receivers. They picked up Jamal Moore, who's a rookie, should be pretty good. And running backs, they finally have some running backs. Ty Montgomery's there. If he's healthy, he showed he can run well. But they also have Jamal Williams. And they have a kid by name, I think his name is Aaron Jones, they picked up. He's going to come back from suspension and be pretty good. Don't doubt them. They have guys on defense. They have a dude by name of Mo Wilkerson I know very well. He was a Jet. Really talented guy when he wants to play. Clay Matthews is back to being a rush linebacker. Watch out for that. He's not in the middle anymore. We haven't heard a lot from Clay Matthews because he went into the middle linebacker when A.J. Hawk left. They had to fill that role. Not happening anymore. Blake Martinez is there to take middle linebacker. Clay Matthews is back on the outside and he's rushing the passer. Don't be surprised if he's back up by 10 sacks again. Tremont Williams on the outside, still very good. Quentin Dix is one of the best free safeties in the game. This team is good. And I think they could be pretty damn great. And Aaron Rodgers tips that scale. So I have them going 13-3. And I have them going on an absolute tear from week 9 to week 17 where they don't lose a game. In that stretch, they beat the Pats, they beat the Dolphins, Seahawks, Vikings, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears, Jets, and Lions. Watch out. The Packers are back. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to lead the charge and be a dominant beast. On to the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, man. Vikings had a storybook run last year. But it was with Case Keenum, a guy who showed that he couldn't get it done in the postseason. They went out and they gave Kirk Cousins, at the time, the biggest contract in NFL history. But what he did is it's all guaranteed. The guy's making over $100 million, straight up guaranteed. Unprecedented stuff. And it's for a guy who, he's thrown for 4,000 yards a million times, it seemed like. He was franchised forever by the Redskins. But we don't know what he can do with talent. And he has it now. He has talent. He has Dalvin Cook, who was hurt last year, but probably was on his way to be Rookie of the Year. Great running back. They have Latavius Murray, a good straight line runner. They have Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Laquan Treadwell on the outside, Kyle Rudolph, tight end. That offense is loaded. It is loaded, and he has a decent line. I like what Kirk Cousins can do there, but he needs to show that he can do it. Defensively, they were one of the deepest defenses in the NFL, and they picked up another Jet in Sheldon Richardson, who, again, like Mo Wilkerson, when he's not being lazy, obscenely talented. So Sheldon Richardson's there. They have Everson Griffin back. Linval Joseph is there, who's a monster. Anthony Barr is a talented player. Eric Kendricks is good. In the secondary, Xavier Rhodes is very good. They have weapons. They're going to be a good team. I still like the Vikings. They were 13-3 last year. They're only going to fall to 11-5. They're a good team. They're a very good team. Going to be a playoff team, more than likely a wild card team because the Packers exist. But they beat good teams. They're going to beat the Niners. They're going to beat the Packers once. They're going to beat the Eagles. They're going to beat the Lions. They're going to beat the Pats. They'll beat, and they'll also beat some bad teams. So I like the Vikings, but I don't like them as much as the Packers. The final standings are going to be Packers 13-3, Vikings 11-5, Lions 9-7, Bears 4-12. For anyone just joining, you're watching the live feed of the Sports Opinions podcast. I'm breaking down all of my NFL picks and predictions. I do this every year. And, hopefully people like it and you enjoy what you hear. I really love doing this stuff. And I'm going to continue doing my live feeds also on Facebook, where I also do it on Spreaker.com. But I'm happy that anyone that's here, anyone that's watching, hello to everyone. Kenny, you're being super active. Thank you for that. What? They can beat the Pats. Yes, they can. The Vikings can beat the Pats, Kenny. Don't think that they can't. The Pats are not as deep as they once were. We are going to go on to now the NFC South. And the NFC South starts off with that clunker of a football team that played last night. The Atlanta Falcons should have won the game 10 times over last night. How many times were they in the red zone and they fluffed it up? How many times? It seems like it was 1,000 times. But they were there. They screwed it up. But they still can come back and be a decent team. They were 10-6 last year. I see them going 9-7 this year. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. They should be more explosive. They have Julio Jones back. They have Mohamed Sanu. They picked up Calvin Ridley. Matt Ryan's still there throwing the ball. Austin Hooper's should be a good tight end. Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman, probably the best two-headed monster in football. Defensively, Vic Beasley's a good player, but they leave a lot to be desired. And Keanu Neal just went out for the season after last night. Desmond Trufant looked old last night, got beat a lot. Robert Alford's not great. This is where they lose, and I think that the effect that Derek has on Derek Carr to score every time with the Raiders, I think that's what Matt Ryan's feeling, that they need to score touchdowns and not field goals, and that ultimately damned them last night, and it might damn them this year. What I saw from them last night, 9-7 is generous. They could be significantly worse, but as of now, Falcons going 9-7. On to Carolina Panthers, my good friend Brittany Schmidt's favorite team. She was on the podcast before. What's up, Brittany, if you are watching or listening? On to these Panthers, and also Kyle Conrad, my buddy, his favorite team as well. Melissa, Billy, what's going on, guys? Carolina Panthers are up right now. And last year, this team's weird. Every time I think of the Panthers, I think that they're a team that's on the decline. Honestly. Sorry, Brett. I don't think they're very good every single year. They went 11-5 last year. I still don't know how. I really don't. Christian McCaffrey's talented. Cam Newton's talented. Devin Funchess being your number one is weird. I don't understand it, but they figured out a way. Cam Newton is obscenely talented. People that knock Cam Newton, they don't knock him because of his talent. If you try and knock him because of his talent, then you don't know what you're talking about. He's a really good player. Really good quarterback. Asked to do way too much on that team. Devin Funchess being their number one guy still scares the hell out of me. They have Torrey Smith, who only knows two routes, a fade and a skinny post. DJ Moore can hopefully step up and be their speedster. They picked him up in the draft. They have both Khalils, I think, on the line. I don't know where Matt Khalil is. They have Ryan Khalil, but I thought they had Matt Khalil too. I might be wrong. But they have Christian McCaffrey as their starting running back now. CJ Anderson comes over from... he was in Denver, was on San Francisco last year. He comes over. They still have Cameron Artis-Payne back there. The offense should be good. Defense, they picked Julius Peppers back up. They have Kawan Short, who's pretty decent. Shaq Thompson's a good player. Luke Kuechly's one of the best players in the game. There should be a good team on defense again. How good? I don't know. Sorry, Britt. I have them going 9-7 this year, not 11-5. I just can't get behind them. I don't think they give Cam Newton enough to do the great things that he does, and they always ends up pulling it off. I'm probably going to be wrong again, but I just don't understand how they do it, how Cam Newton does it. If he does, I'll eat my words again. But I have them having some good wins. I have them beating the Falcons. I have them beating the Steelers, Lions, and Saints. So they can be a good team. Do I think that they are a great team? No, I don't think they're a great team. But I've been wrong before about them, and I'll probably be wrong again. Going on to New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. Could it be his last year? Were they sending a sign when they traded with my Jets in what I will promise everybody, including my brother-in-law and father-in-law, was a good trade for the Jets? But they traded with my Jets to get Teddy Bridgewater as the backup to Drew Brees. Is that telling us that Drew Brees is done? I hope not. I like Drew Brees. Sitting behind him, he still has Alvin Kamara. They picked up Mike Gillislee from the New England Patriots. Michael Thomas on the outside. Ted Ginn is still playing somehow. Something about them, though. I don't like something about them. Their defense is as good as it's ever been. They're as deep as they've ever been. Last year, they played as probably the best that they've ever played as a defense. I don't see them being better than 8-8. I don't think they're a bad team. I don't think they're 11-5 like they were last year, though. Mostly, they lose a lot of tight games. I have them losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games within 7 points. 7 of the 8 games I have them losing within 7 points. So it's close losses that I have them losing. But I think 8-8 is their number, and I really feel like this might make Drew Brees walk off in the sunset as the Hall of Famer that he is. And, I just don't see the magic happening for him. And I think teams have figured out Alvin Kamara, and I think they're going to be planning for him much better, so he won't be able to have the same breakout that he had last year. On to the last team in this division. My buddy Luis Rosado, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was supposed to have Louis on, I think 2 weeks ago. It didn't work out because I screwed up a little bit with the scheduling. Luis Rosado will be on again at some point. I know he is probably super down on this team because basically one of my favorite guys coming out of college, because I'm a Florida State guy, Jameis Winston's an idiot. Kevin Rembach Jr., holy crap, I haven't talked to you in forever. What up, Kevo? Thanks for tuning in. But I don't know. I really don't. Ryan Fitzpatrick's starting right now because Jameis Winston's an idiot and got suspended. Was it 4 games he's out? Ryan Fitzpatrick's awful. He really is. But I don't even know if he can screw up with some of the weapons. Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Adam Humphries. all pretty talented dudes. OJ Howard's a good tight end. Cameron Brate's a good tight end. He has a serviceable line in front of him. He shouldn't get beat up completely and totally. Their running backs scare me. They still have Jacquizzi Rodgers, who's good. Peyton Barber, I don't know, but they drafted Ronald Jones and Sean Wilson. So maybe one of those two guys could step up and be shockers. Defense is scary too, because Gerald McCoy, who the hell knows when he's showing up? Nobody knows. But they have William Golson, who's pretty good. Jason Pierre-Paul came over to rush the passer, which should help them out a lot. Kwan Anderson's good. Levante David is still the most underrated linebacker in the history of football. The guy just gets 100 tackles every single year like it's nothing. Vernon Hargraves is a pretty good corner. Brent Grimes is a good corner. When you look on paper, this team should be much better than it is. Every year they seem to disappoint. They were 5-11 last year. I don't see them being that bad this year. I think they weather the storm that Fitzpatrick is going to ultimately bring on them. And Jameis Winston plays decent ball. I see them going 8-8. And this division is a weird one because I have two teams tied on top for 9-7. That's the Panthers and Falcons, and two teams going tied for basically last with the Saints and Bucks at 8-8. It's a very middle of the rung division. In terms of tiebreakers, I use tiebreakers as division wins. I had the Panthers winning more division games than the Falcons, so the Panthers would ultimately get the playoff nod there. Again, Brittany, there's your Panthers figuring out a way to get in. They even do it with my predictions. So, on to the last division that I am going to talk about, the last division in football, the NFC West. And the worst team, I think, in football I'm starting out with, the Arizona Cardinals. This team, I think, is going to be in lots and lots of trouble. I don't see them being a very good team at all in any way, shape, or form. They're starting Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford is, I've called him before, I'll call it again. He's the greatest thief in NFL history. He's stolen the most money because he's always hurt. Now, they did draft Josh Rosen, who I think ultimately is going to play a lot this year. And I think he'll struggle, but I think he'll learn. They have Jermaine Gresham at tight end, who's pretty good. David Johnson, if he's healthy, is a stud running back, but I don't think he's even good enough to overcome all the deficiencies. Larry Fitzgerald is ageless, and he's great, but again, I don't think he's good enough to overcome all the deficiencies that this team ultimately is going to have. So I don't see them being very good. Robert Nkemdiche is good on defense. Corey Peters is pretty good. Chandler Jones is a monster. They should be good. Patrick Peterson, Anton Bethea, they should be good, but there's just something about this team that just tells me that they're going to stink all season long. I have them going 3-13. I have them losing from week 8 all the way to week 17 with their bye thrown in there. So what is that? I have them losing 8 games straight at the end of the year, losing to the Niners, the Chiefs, the Raiders, Chargers, Packers, Lions, Falcons, Rams, and Seahawks. And if you really look at it, that's a gauntlet of a schedule for a team that's already hurting right now, being old and being pretty damn talentless. They were 8-8 last year. They're 3-13 this year. Sorry to all the Cardinals fans. They are not going to be very good. Scott Davern, what's up, Scott? How are you? Thank you for joining the live feed of the Sports Opinions podcast. I'm just here giving all of my predictions for the NFL season. I'm rounding it out, the last 3 teams. The next team I'm going on to is the San Francisco 49ers, who has the best looking player in all sports as their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. The man is still undefeated in his professional career, technically. The loss that he had coming in last year didn't count. They finished 6-10, but those 6 wins came when Garoppolo just came in and blew the doors off of everyone. I think this kid is legit. I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's a talented kid, and I think he's going to turn around this franchise. And I think it starts this year where they have a winning record. Not a playoff record, but a winning record. I talked about this with Coach Wes Moore from Manchester High School. He was the same way. He doesn't think they're a playoff team. He thinks they're a winning team, and I happen to agree with them. I think my cousin Danny Porterways, who's also a Niners fan, will probably also agree with that. But Todd, what's going on? Chuck Labello, long time no talk, buddy. What's going on? Thank you guys for joining the podcast. But he has some weapons. He has Marquise Goodwin. He has Pierre Garçon on the outside, who's still a good possession receiver. Garrett Selleck, the younger brother of great Brett Selleck, should be good. Again, I mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. Running backs kind of scare me. Matt Breida, Alfred Morris. Guys aren't that great. But when you have a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, he makes up for deficiencies. I think he's that good. I think he's one of the next great quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm drinking that Kool-Aid. So I see the San Francisco 49ers overall in the end going 9-7. It's a big step towards getting this team back onto legitimacy. They were 6-10 last year. They're going to get some nice wins. They're going to beat the Chiefs. They're going to beat the Rams. They'll beat the Giants. They'll take out the Seahawks. It's going to be a good season for them, but I don't think it's going to be a great one. They might sneak into the playoffs that 9-7, but I don't think it's going to be amazing. And I didn't mention even the defense of the Niners, which isn't a bad one. Richard Sherman came over. Kwan Williams is a nickelback. Ahkello Witherspoon's a talented player. They have some players on this team, so they can be a very good team. I think 9-7 is fair. Onto a team that is just on the downswing. Seattle Seahawks had their nice run. They had their nice run. They were one of my favorite teams to watch when they had Sean Alexander and Matty Hasselbeck. They had some good success with the beginning of the Russell Wilson era when they had all of these 6th, 7th round picks on barely any money contract. Russell Wilson on a very small contract, but then they had to start paying guys. Not only did they have to start paying guys, they started losing guys. Players have left. Richard Sherman left. Michael Bennett left. Earl Thomas is gone. Earl Thomas is hurt. Who left? One of their big tight end, one of their big safeties left. Their secondary is unrecognizable. Shaquille Griffin, Brad McDougall, Tedrick Thompson, Dante Johnson. Tell me if you're not a Seahawks fan if you know who the hell these guys are. Tell me if you are a Seahawks fan if you know who the hell these guys are. Even going down to their line and their front seven. Shaquem Griffin was just drafted. We all know his story. Barkevius Mingo's good. Bobby Wagner's good. Who else? Who else really scares you? That scary front seven, that scary Seahawks defense is gone. Russell Wilson's talented. I'm never a huge fan of his, but I'm not going to deny that the guy's talented. But who's running the ball? Chris Carson? Rashad Penny they're going to rely on because they think they want him to be good. They still have CJ Prosise back there. He hasn't turned out to be what they wanted him to be. Wide receiver-wise, Doug Baldwin has turned out to be a good player. They have Brandon Marshall. For some reason, he's there. Tyler Lockett, does he scare you? Seahawks aren't a scary team. Seahawks aren't a good team. They were 9-7 last year. Not going to be 9-7 this year. I have them going 5-11. This is going to be a real test for Russell Wilson, a real test for Pete Carroll to see if he can right this ship and see if they can find some more diamonds in the rough and magic. Maybe I'm wrong. They found diamonds in the rough in the 6-7 round before. Maybe they know things I don't. They obviously do. They're in the NFL and I'm sitting here on a podcast. But maybe they got some diamonds in the rough right. Wouldn't put it past them because their scouts are unbelievable. They're similar to the Patriots scouts where they find players that other teams haven't found. But from just what I'm looking at on paper right now, this isn't a good team. Their wins come against the Bears, Panthers, Niners, Chiefs, and Cardinals. But they lose to the Broncos, who I don't think are very good, obviously. And all the other teams they lose to are good teams. Teams that they would contend with before, but can't now. They'll lose to the Cowboys. They'll lose to the Rams. They'll lose to the Raiders, the Lions, the Chargers, the Rams twice, the Packers, the Niners, the Vikings. Those are teams that they would have contended with and probably beaten last year or years before. Not going to do it again this year. So 5-11 for the Seahawks. And it's unfortunate, but that's where they will lie and that's where they will stay. So, unfortunately for Seahawks fans, if you jumped on that bandwagon, it's about time to jump off. If you're a team jumper, it's over for them. Unless they, like I said, unless they found some real diamonds in the rough. Last team, final team in the predictions, the Los Angeles Rams. Excitement last year, the greatest show on turf. I don't even know, do they have turf there? The greatest show on turf seemed to be back. Jared Goff found some real chemistry with some guys. He has Cooper Kupp, guy that no one knew about before last year, making great plays. He had Robert Woods, a Buffalo throwaway, who looked like a legitimate guy. Brandon Cooks they pick up, who's a talented player that from New England. He's a very good deep threat. They still have Todd Gurley, who's a top running back in this league. they have talent. They have plenty of talent on this offense, and I see them scoring a lot of points again. On defense, they just picked up Ndamukong Suh, paid him a lot. They made Aaron Donald now the second richest defensive player of all time, where Khalil Mack took that title from him. They have Marcus Peters back at corner, Aqib Talib. They got talent. This team should be pretty damn good again. They were 11-5 last year. I see them going 11-5 again this year. I think that they rekindle. They lose to the Eagles. They'll get a loss to the Lions, Raiders, Cardinals, and Niners. But they also beat some good teams. They'll beat the Vikings. They'll beat the Chargers. Beat the Saints, Packers, Chiefs, Niners again. Like, they're going to play good football, and they're going to be 11-5. I see the Rams being the class of this division again. They top it off with 11-5. The Niners go 9-7, second, big jump for them. The Seahawks drop to 5-11 and need to figure some things again out. And the Cardinals are just completely in retooling mode again. And they will end up being in the cellar at, what did I have them at? 3-13. So that's all for the predictions right now. And I'm pretty sure, though, someone's voice that you heard, Wally Govan, wants to come on the show. I have to find out if he's ready. But until then, Kenny, you say that they're not a Super Bowl team but can make it to the championship, the Rams. I can agree with that. I think they're a little bit too young when they hit the playoffs. Whether or not Jared Goff steps up and is that player that he should be, it's yet to be seen. But who really knows at that point? What the playoffs are weird. But right now, I'm going to bring in my man, Wally Govan. You heard him on the podcast. And yeah, Wally, I'm still live. You're going to be live. What's up, man? How are you?
What's going on?
So what do you want to bring to the table, Wally?
Well, last night's game. What a terrible game.
It was a really bad showing for the NFL to start the year. And everyone that doesn't know listening, this is Wally Govan. You heard him giving picks. We're going to track our picks weekly. You will now hear him for at least 17 weeks as we give our picks and our handicaps every single week about the NFL. But yeah, last night's game, we would have lost money on last night's game.
Yeah, but you know what? It shouldn't have been like that. They should have won that game last night. How do you go and not kick the field goal on the opening drive to set the tone? That was just a stupid play call.
And you know what? They have 6 red zone chances and came away with 12 points, I think it was, overall. And for a team with as many weapons as they have, you can't do that.
Yeah, because he went for Julio Jones every single time. I mean, he was double covered.
Hey, Julio got me a lot of fantasy
points. And then he overthrew the ball like 3 times in the end zone. Like, come on.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So overall, out of anything that you heard, Wally, do you agree, disagree with a bunch of my stuff? Anything that stuck out to you?
I actually couldn't watch all of it because I had my son that I was trying to put to sleep, so I was doing both at the same time for a little bit. But
anyone that wants to know, his son's one of the cutest kids on the planet, so Wally gets a pass for having to put his son down to bed.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the same picks that you kind of went through the other night, right?
Yeah, well, it was kind of, I did every single team's
like season record.
Yeah, their season record overall.
I mean, the one thing I agree with you on is Patrick Mahomes. One of my friends thinks they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I think that's absolutely ludicrous.
Out of their minds.
I just don't think the guy. You know, he's a rookie quarterback. I don't care what you say. It might be his second year, but he hasn't played. He played one game, hasn't thrown a touchdown in the NFL yet. You know, obviously you're not counting preseason, but he's done nothing. You can't rely on a rookie quarterback like that to bring him to the Super Bowl. I mean, maybe they might get into the playoffs, but I highly even doubt that. There are just better teams out there.
Absolutely. All right. So, Wally, thank you for calling. I got to wrap this bad boy up.
All right, sounds good. The TCU game is delayed, by the way.
TCU game delayed, and what was your pick? It was TCU over 59?
Over 59, and I also like the Cincinnati Reds tonight in the MLB Major League Baseball pick, but I think they were delayed too. I think both of the games are getting delayed.
The weather is wild. But all right, thank you, Wally, for calling. I appreciate it. Everyone will hear Wally Govan again next week as we give our picks. Wally, so long, buddy.
@MillianLeaderman. And, yeah, I'll see you next week.
All right, later, buddy. All right. Thanks as always for Wally coming on. And again, you'll hear him again. And everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you were out there and you were doing that, I really appreciate it. This was test a little bit coming on Facebook Live. Never did this part before. I've done the live part on Spreaker before, but this is the Sports Opinions Podcast. Have some apparel here. We're going to be getting more, so if you want them, please be on the lookout. I'm going to be getting more. Going to be able to sell those. But I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. Find me on Twitter at @_Cuesta30. Also the same on Instagram. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. Find it on Instagram at SportsOpinion30. Sports Opinions 30. Add the S at the end. Follow the Facebook page of Sports Opinions. And also, after this is done, you can go back and listen to the Spreaker version of this, which was the only audio version. You can listen to this on YouTube, Spreaker, Google Play Music, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you look at the back of the shirt, find all the places right there. Again, snazzy shirt. Anyone can get it if you want it. But again, I appreciate everyone that watched here. Awesome job. Thank you very much. Uncle George, how's it going? I'm actually just wrapping it up, but I really appreciate you coming on. But everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, everybody.